Hi, this is Mike Schwartz. I'm the founder and CEO of Glue. In this demo, I'm going to show how to use the Ox open source platform to control access to URLs. In this diagram that I'm starting with, I just wanted to give a quick overview of what we're trying to do. So the idea is that a person using a client, either a website or a mobile app, tries to access a protected resource. In my old school picture of a web server. And the web server doesn't really know whether it should serve the page or not. So in step 2, the web server wants to ask a central point, can John access this URL that he's requested? And the policy decision point looks up the policies and then returns an answer, yes. And then with that answer, the web server or the server, serving the API says, okay, it's allowed, and returns the resource. So that's a high-level overview. So in this demo, I'd like to show how the resource server specifies the resources and how the organization can define the policies that control basically which people and which clients can get to which resources. So under our OAuth heading in the Glue management GUI, there's a section for UMA. So let me show now. In the normal workflow would be that the UMA client, an OpenID Connect client, would register with the policy decision point and say, okay, I'd like to have this special role. I'd like to be an UMA host, and then would register resources. But we can go ahead and just manually register a resource. I'm going to call this protected part of my website, and I'm going to give a nice icon, and I'm going to start specifying resources. So let's say there's a part of my site called protected, and I want to say protected/star. And let's say there's another part of my website called profile, and I want to make sure that that's protected. So what I can do is, so now I've defined the URLs that I want to protect, and what I can do is associate an UMA scope with those URLs. So UMA scopes are just ways to make an association between the policy and the URL. So I'll use this view scope, and how about this my token scope too? Okay, so I'm going to add this resource set. Now I can go and define my policy. So I've defined the URLs that I want to protect, and now under the Policies tab, I can add a policy. Let's just look at these policies. So the first policy I want to show. So remember, I associated 2 different scopes with the resource set. The first scope I associated was called the view scope. Now there could be a lot of policies for the view scope. In this case, I just have one. And my policy, we use the Jython approach here, similar to what we do for custom authentication. And so what we can do is provide the code for authorize. This is Jython syntax. So you can use either Java or Python classes, and the syntax, of course, is Python. So in Python, this is how you say this is the interface you have to implement, and it just includes one method, authorize. So the method should return a Boolean, true if you're authorized, false if you're not. And in this case, it's a simple policy that just checks that there's a user claim called locality that's set to Austin. So let me show another scope. Remember, there was 2 policies, view and my token. So Oh, well, we'll just go ahead and add it. So I created another policy called MyToken, and in this case I said that the auth mode has to equal MyToken, but I didn't associate the scope, so I'll just do that right here. So I'll say, okay, so any resource that's been tagged with the MyToken scope will need to evaluate this policy, and that's going to make sure that they're using a stronger type of authentication. So this could be useful if you want to protect a certain part of the website with stronger authentication. So you want to say, like, in our case, to get to the /protected or the /profile directory, you'd have to use the stronger authentication. Let me show you in the Ox wiki we've documented what information. If you notice in this interface, we can import this class, which gives us access to some information in the environment. For example, we can get user claims or user attributes. We can get client claims. So think OpenID Connect user claims and OpenID Connect client claims. We can get auth mode and auth level. These are Ox extensions that allow you in OpenID Connect to specify different names for different types of authentication, and so this enables certain clients to request specifically certain types of authentication, and we also put that in the access token. So in the policy you can say, yes, it's a valid access token, but it was obtained with basic authentication. We also made some quick methods for getting IP address and network, and we include the tokens. These are the UMA tokens, which have some more detailed information like timestamps and other security information in more detail. You can also get the HTTP request, which also has some more information like referrer URL and the browser type. But you can use this information in your authorized method to make pretty granular policies. You can also call your web services here if you want to do analytics, or if you were so inclined and you wanted to use XACML. In this authorized method, you could create a XACML request and send it to a XACML PDP for authorization, and then return that to the client using UMA. So I think it potentially gives you the ability to leverage your existing authorization infrastructure if you have one of those, but to present a JSON REST authentication API to developers to enable them to have the interface that's maybe more convenient for them than rendering an XML file. So I think that pretty much wraps it up. Just to give a final summary, at a high level, the Ox platform implements the endpoints for the UMA policy decision point and enables an UMA PEP or client to use these extra UMA tokens to request authorizations. And I think UMA provides organizations and federations with an opportunity to centralize the business logic for some common shared authorization requirements, like what type of authentication do you need to get to certain websites, stuff that's common between applications. There's always going to be application-specific business logic, which you might not want to pull out into your central authorization infrastructure. But if there's any authorization rules that are shared between applications, then UMA provides really for the first time a way you can use an open standard like OAuth 2 in order to implement a standards-based access management system. So thanks a lot for listening to this demo.